Welcome back from the Wrestle, everybody. We are going to get into our special feature main event of this evening. That is going to be fantasy booking. And if you are unfamiliar with what fantasy booking is, that's when we decide what the pay-per-view or whatever event that we're deciding that we were going to do should have been made up for with the build, the card, pretty much everything start to finish. And of course, we're going to do what we do every year before WrestleMania. We're going to focus that on the whole road to WrestleMania itself. Couple rules that we need to talk about before we get into whatever we're going to do here. I put these in place because I want to make sure that people don't put like really ridiculous kind of things, because I've seen some terrible ideas in the past, and I read everything that you guys send for the comments on the website, and man, I just don't want to make fun of some of the things that you guys say. So here we go. These are your rules for the people that want to participate in this. They need to be justified, what your choices are. It can't be, I'm a huge fan of Heath Slater, so he's going to just win the title right after last year's WrestleMania and carry it for the longest time, whatever. He's clearly not in the position to do that, so you got to be realistic. You can't include people that aren't a member of the roster, and that means that it applies to retired people, deceased people, people working for another company. If somebody is essentially injured for the entire year and they don't come back, then you know what? They were still injured around this time. You can't just magically heal them. So on and so forth when it comes to that kind of stuff. And at the same time, too, you can't bring up half of the NXT roster because they would never do that. So keep that in mind. And the earliest time frame that you can go back to is the day after last year's WrestleMania. So we're going to have a variation of different things. I didn't really specify that anybody had to do like break it down by hour, or you got to do a pre-show, or you got to talk about who's going to be on the kickoff panel and all that. I added some of that information on the website for my own thing. I'm not going to go through that here because I'm not reading all that kind of crap. But if you guys are interested in who my backstage interviewers and all that kind of stuff would be, go ahead, read that on the website. And since I have talked quite a bit, I'm not going to go first. I'm actually going to go with one of you guys. So who wants to start us off?
All right, I'll go since everyone's so fucking eager. I've only really gone totally in depth with two of the matches, which I'm going to have headline the show, but I'll give a brief backstory on what I do for the rest of the card. So I'd open the show up with an NXT Championship match, and if anyone's seen Kevin Steen versus El Generico in a ladder match, it was fucking sweet. So essentially, I'd have him do that match, but at WrestleMania. So you'd have Kevin Owens versus Sami Zayn for the NXT title. And I'd have Sami Zayn get his redemption on the biggest stage of them all. And as far as the NXT title's future, I'd probably have him just vacate the belt and move on to the main roster and let the guys compete over on the NXT brand. So maybe a tournament or whatever. For a Divas Championship match, I'd have AJ Lee versus Charlotte. And I'd cement Charlotte as the next big thing in the Divas division by having her beat AJ Lee and beating her convincingly. In fact, I wouldn't have AJ Lee get too much offense in. I think she's very overrated, and I think Charlotte needs to be cemented in that role.
Kind of a squash match?
Not a total burial, but she would beat her very convincingly. There wouldn't be any doubt. Wouldn't be fluky whatsoever. I'd actually have a double retirement match for Undertaker versus Sting quite early in the show, mainly because I think whilst the entrances are going to get everyone all happy and shit, the match itself is going to bring down the crowd's mood, and I'm going to need something later to boost that back up.
Wait, I have one problem.
What?
And this is a production thing, and this is something I can understand you not thinking about. The problem with having an Undertaker-Sting match early in the show is the fact that it's going to be...
Oh, shit, it's going to be an outdoor arena. I didn't think of that. It doesn't matter. They don't do fuck all for Sting anyway, do they?
No, but they do for Undertaker.
Imagine how terrible the entrances would be, though, if you couldn't do the lighting, and they had, like, just Sting's entrance is just that, caw, and then he just kind of, like, walks out, and he's just kind of like, yeah, I've got shitty music now, too. It sucks.
Okay, well, I'll tell you what. I've got a way of... I can just swap that out of place. So I'm just going to keep going with it for now, but... So I set this feud up about 4 weeks before fucking Mania. They don't need too much build. It's, spooky light show.
Oh, God. It's a spooky...
I'm gonna beat you. No, I'm gonna beat you. No, you're gonna rest in peace. Aww. And then
No.
and then Undertaker beat him because fuck WCW, right in its fucking stupid ass.
Sting wrestles one match in WWE and it's a loss to retirement.
Yeah, I'm perfectly fine with that.
That's such a fuck you to WCW.
Like, here's the thing. I'm not a big WCW fan. I think it's overrated. And as far as Sting's career goes, I know Sting better for TNA than I do WCW. So I have a different impression of him. And my impression is, fuck Sting. Old guy in a t-shirt. I don't care about him. And everything I've seen back on the network, I don't care about either.
By the way, everyone knows me. Anyone who wrestles in a t-shirt, I fucking hate automatically. So
you must love Kevin Owens.
Oh, dude. There's a few exceptions. Kevin Owens is a badass.
So you just went back on your word. Go fuck yourself.
And also, Dean Ambrose is okay because it works well with his gimmick.
So everyone who wrestles in a t-shirt, fuck you, except most of the guys in WWE.
I can think of a few people. When Rey Mysterio wore a t-shirt, that fucking pissed me off. Like, dude, you weigh like less than me. You don't need the t-shirt. Oh, what? You got a little chub? Who the fuck cares? You look great still.
You know who always bothered me that they wore a t-shirt was Tommy Dreamer.
Yeah, Tommy Dreamer always used to bother me.
Too.
His fucking t-shirts.
The worst was like when he wouldn't even be able to wear like a Tommy Dreamer t-shirt.
He just wear the upcoming pay-per-view.
Yeah, like
Hayden mentioned recently that he's never had a t-shirt.
I don't think he's ever had a t-shirt.
Really?
I can't recall a time he actually ever had a t-shirt.
Hey Tommy, we got you a new t-shirt, really?
Like
yeah, it's an ECW t-shirt.
Yeah, he just wore like the ECF and W shirts.
They're like, we got you a new t-shirt. It's white. It's a plain white t-shirt. He's like, oh, thanks, guys.
Oh man, this one doesn't even have bloodstains on it.
By the way, you got a hardcore match later on? Oh, damn it.
His career is so sad. So, I'd probably swap this in where I had the Undertaker and Sting match based on Payton's little production note, but I would have an Intercontinental versus US title match. Earlier on in the year, I would have had Dolph Ziggler capture the IC title and actually kept it, and Cesaro I would have pushed strongly from the get-go after the Andre Battle Royal. And I'd have him capture the US title and unify it at WrestleMania. And I'd have Cesaro be the one to unify it. The guy's an ultra-talented dude and needs more credit. So the match would probably steal the show, too. Next match I got is Seth Rollins versus Dean Ambrose. I've got a little bit of a different setup with their feud, but I'll go into that more when I talk about Brock Lesnar versus Daniel Bryan, which will be my main event. But for the most part, it's going to be the same as their previous feud, except the Hell in a Cell result. And I do it in 3 stages of hell, and finally have a winner with no issues, and like it's the best man that wins.
So would you have Seth Rollins be a part of the Authority? Because technically he wasn't a part of it WrestleMania. Would you go with that same?
As far as the whole Authority versus the Shield thing, I would let that play out exactly the way it did.
Okay.
I think it was perfect. It's one of the few storylines they did last year, which was golden. So I'd have Ambrose win the feud, and I'd also do it for the Money in the Bank, and I'd have him win the Money in the Bank. Just for something a little different. Honestly, I don't buy Seth cashing it in on at least anyone who's champion around right now. As far as John Cena goes and Roman Reigns, they're big stars, and I just throw them in a match together just because I got nothing better to do with them. I'm already leaving like a few big names off my card, and these are 2 of the ones I really can't. So I'd have John Cena versus Roman Reigns, and it's kind of it'd just be one of those where tensions would build. Maybe one of them would throw each other out at the Royal Rumble match, and it just slowly builds to WrestleMania. And I'd have Roman Reigns put John Cena over and have a whole passing the torch type thing. So that leads me to the co-main event. I like nostalgia matches, and there's one that I really want to see. It's Triple H versus The Rock. During October on an episode of Raw, they had a segment. I think it was like a segment they had exclusively on the app. And they was promoting SmackDown's anniversary or SmackDown's birthday, one of fucking SmackDown's things. And The Rock was going to make an appearance on there. And they built a hell of a lot of tension. And the chemistry they had, it's exactly the same as what they had in the 90s. And it was so good. So I'd actually have The Rock get beat down by the Authority during that SmackDown special. And as opposed to Sting coming out and costing Triple H's job at the Survivor Series, I'd have The Rock be the guy to do that, and he be the new COO made by Vince McMahon. So somehow I'd have it lead to The Rock versus Triple H at Mania, and the winner becomes the COO, and if The Rock wins, the authorities have to disband, and if Triple H wins, he gets his job back, and I'd have The Rock win. And I'd have the authority disband for good, and that kills the authority storyline once and for all.
JD would love that.
Mm-hmm. He'd kick him right in his ass.
But boys.
So for the main event, I've got Daniel Bryan wrestling Brock Lesnar for the WWE World Heavyweight Championship. And I know a lot of people say that the match would look weird because of Daniel Bryan's size, and that's a fair argument, but I also believe that this is pro wrestling, and you're meant to suspend your disbelief to a heavy degree. So if you're a good enough wrestler, you can tell a very good big man versus small man story and get the crowd into it regardless of the size. So as far as... Where's my fucking notes gone? Bear with me a second. So Daniel Bryan wins the championship at WrestleMania 30. And his first title defense I'd have at Extreme Rules, and it'd be against Cesaro. Cesaro just won the Andre Battle Royal, and I've always thought, okay, what does winning the Andre Battle Royal mean? Doesn't mean anything, so let's make it a number one contender thing. If you win it, you get a future title shot. I'd have him go for a few opponents like Kane, Batista, Sheamus, because ideally I'd turn Sheamus and have him join the Authority too. And with all their plans thwarted and exhausted, and Daniel Bryan keeps retaining the title, they'd accept Paul Heyman's offer to have Brock Lesnar wrestle Daniel Bryan. And instead of John Cena versus Brock Lesnar at SummerSlam, you have Brock Lesnar versus Daniel Bryan, and essentially the same match. Brock Lesnar just kills Daniel Bryan in like 10 minutes, and it's not even close. Then, at Night of Champions, he does the same to John Cena. I'd have him miss Hell in a Cell, Survivor Series, and TLC. I don't think he was needed during that period, and I'm actually glad they kept him off television. In fact, I'd trot Heyman out there every week just to rub in the fact that he's not there and that he's too good for those B-level pay-per-views. I'd have Dean Ambrose beat Seth Rollins at the Hell in a Cell pay-per-view, and that earned him a number one contendership match at Royal Rumble. And I'd have Brock beat Dean Ambrose there, just to keep the amount of opponents just a variety and fresh, because I think that was one of the biggest issues with Brock Lesnar's title reign. He fought the same guys constantly. Daniel Bryan returns at the Royal Rumble, because I forgot to previously mention I'd have him beaten so bad that he'd go missing for a while. He eliminates John Cena in the finals just to give him some legitimacy. And I'm an advocate for having no pay-per-view in between Royal Rumble and WrestleMania, because they always seem to fuck up and hurt the pay-per-view more than they do better WrestleMania. So I'd just have a nice slow build, and I'd finally have Brock and Daniel Bryan go to wrestle at Mania. The only confrontation they'd have is like a contract signing or something. And I'd have Brock Lesnar essentially do the same thing again. Daniel Bryan does that crazy comeback, and it takes him 3 running knees to finally best the Beast.
So what do you guys think of Wago's card? Anything stand out as the highlight, low point?
We have one match that's the same, but I think it might be the same on everyone else's card. So
yeah. It's not bad. I think it is.
I like it.
A lot of Smark fans would be very happy with that. I'll say that.
I'm a smart guy.
Smart.
Yes.
With the K at the end.
Like how you say wrestling.
No, but like I get it that it's more caters to the smart crowd, but I like what I like, and that's okay.
Yeah, nothing wrong with it. No, I think it's a good card.
Alrighty, who's up next?
I suppose I can go.
All right.
So, contrary to what you said, Tony, I decided to have a lot of NXT people involved, actually, but only in the pre-show. I actually want to dedicate the whole entire pre-show getting people amped up by displaying some of the best talent that NXT has to offer.
Can I let you know that I did the exact same thing for my pre-show, essentially?
See, if they're a part of the NXT thing and not on the main roster, that's okay. I meant like they couldn't be,
like headlining in the main event.
Yeah, one of them's Intercontinental Champ, one's US Champ, one's Tag Champ, like that kind of a thing where it's just like, oh, everything's NXT.
All right,
but,
that was my attitude. Just highlight one big match.
hear me out, and you'll have to tell me if I'm breaking the rules or not. But let me get through my whole card here. So we're going to kick off the show by WWE acknowledging the whole hashtag Give Divas a Chance thing. And they're saying that they're going to make a big statement showing that they're going to highlight these women on this night. And they're going to kick off this night with a fatal four-way of some of the best talent they have down in the NXT women's division. In fact, the same match we saw at our last NXT TakeOver special, Sasha Banks, Charlotte, Bayley, Becky Lynch in a fatal four-way. Now, instead of this being for the NXT Women's Championship belt, I would actually make this a match where the winner gets a main roster WWE contract and a shot at the Divas title the following night on Raw. So you're doing a lot of things here. You're promoting someone up from NXT onto the main roster. You're making a promotion for the Raw the following night to get people excited for a match that's happening then, so you make sure people still stay tuning in. You're already making the Raw after Mania seem like a special night. You're even building intrigue for the Divas title match that happens later on in the night at WrestleMania, because you want to know, well, who's facing this person that wins this match. So you're getting a lot of things happening by doing that there. I would have Charlotte win this match. It's the right person to win it. The title's not going to be on the line, so Sasha Banks can continue doing her thing as the champion down there. Charlotte can pin like Becky Lynch or whoever. It doesn't really matter. But Charlotte would win, and she would gain that spot to go on. Another thing worth mentioning is that this is kind of like a precedent that was set by Paige the previous year, coming in from NXT and getting that Divas title shot on her first night. The next match that I would have showcasing NXT talent would be Sami Zayn versus Hideo Itami. Good lightweight match, very fast paced, lots of flippy flips, exciting moments, really get the crowd amped up seeing this young talent. That one I would have Sami Zayn go over. Really get the crowd cheering for him as they should, because he's a very likable guy. Next generation's Daniel Bryan, I say. The final match that we would have on the pre-show, yeah, I'm actually stuffing 3 matches on this show. I mean, they got a whole hour. In fact, I think they go longer for the WrestleMania pre-show, don't they? Don't they go 90 minutes?
Hang on, how are we going to get Alex Riley's opinion on the world if you put extra wrestling on there? Fucking asshole.
Well, funny you mentioned, I actually forgot to mention something. I wouldn't have Alex Riley on the pre-show panel. I would actually throw Kevin Owens on there. He's your NXT champion. I'm not going to put him in a match. The champ doesn't wrestle on TV for free, you know? You got to see him on
Except
NXT.
this is a pay-per-view.
But this is the pre-show. Jackass.
To a pay-per-view.
If you put him on the pre-show, that demeans him.
Mm-hmm. That's right. You know, he only goes on places where he gets paid money so they can get that money to bring home to his family so he can take him to Disney World.
His starving family.
Daddy, we're hungry. I said you could have some if there's any left when I'm done.
Dad,
you know how long
he
had
on match? No, I'm on the pre-show fucking panel.
Do you know how long he had to feed his kids podcasts? He's in a good place now. Don't take it away from him, Drew.
And the last match I would have is Adrian Neville versus Finn Balor. Can you just imagine them, what they would do as an entrance for Finn Balor at WrestleMania? The unfortunate thing is they would suffer from it being a light arena as opposed to a dark one, but I think they can find a way to make that work and still look awesome. These guys would go out there and kick ass. What's that?
The only thing I would mention about the Finn Balor thing, is it Balor or Balor?
Balor.
Do we know that?
It's Balor, but I keep saying Balor out of habit.
Yeah, that's why I keep thinking it. I wouldn't know, as much as I want to believe that they would go all out for Finn Balor's entrance. He's just an NXT guy on a pre-show of WrestleMania. I feel like it would be interesting, but it wouldn't be anything too special with it.
It would still be
but
cool.
This is your...
I can still see, because they're trying to make a first impression with this guy, Drew. Listen to me out through this thing, all right? If I was booking it, I knew what this guy's potential was. I was ready to bring him up there, and I want to make a kick-ass first impression on the biggest stage of the year. I'm going all the fuck out for his entrance, okay?
Here's how you get around it. If it's too light out and you can't make it like dark, go extra light. Have like mirrors shine and shit. Like... Where it's just way too bright and it just becomes like a whiteout kind of scenario.
Just do Shawn Michaels' entrance at WrestleMania 25.
That was inside.
Well, the difference is he doesn't need to be in fucking dark face paint. He can do something else.
No, you do like red and white or something like that.
Anyway, Finn Balor gets the victory on this one. Both of these would be hard-fought matches where all 4 guys ended up looking good. This wouldn't be a situation where anyone should look bad and it's like, oh, they have to lose on one of the first times people see him. No, I want all 4 of these guys coming out looking gold. That takes us to our main show. We're going to kick off things hot with a Money in the Bank ladder match. Yeah. So It's important to note that I have no tag team title match on my card because why would I? It's nobody worth putting into something like that except for the tag champs, of course. But I want the tag champs on a card, so I put them in this Money in the Bank ladder match. This Money in the Bank ladder match includes Bad News Barrett. Obviously doesn't have the IC title. We'll get to that. Cesaro, The Miz, Dolph Ziggler, Stardust, Goldust, Damian Mizdow, and Tyson Kidd. So you're combining a lot of your lower level storylines going into this. You got your tag champs, you got your Stardust, Goldust storyline going into this, and you got your Damian Mizdow and Miz story going into this. And all of those can have their played out parts. In the end, I would have the victor be Dolph Ziggler. Once again, having a chance with that Money in the Bank briefcase. I'll give him a shot. Why not?
Hey, give him a shot, guys. Come on, he's got a shot.
Next match I would have would be a triple threat match for the Intercontinental title. The champion going into this would be the Lunatic Fringe, Dean Ambrose, who would win that title from Barrett, I would say, I don't know, around Rumble. Isn't that when Barrett got it? When the hell did Barrett win that title?
He won it on like that Raw, the first Raw of the year when they fired everyone, like Ryback, Ziggler, and
okay,
Rowan,
yeah,
I
sure.
believe.
So he could lose it on his
why
first
not?
title defense at the Royal Rumble to Dean Ambrose. There you go. That works. Dean Ambrose is the champion, and it quickly reignites his feud with Seth Rollins. Those two get back at each other's throats, and a returning Roman Reigns gets himself involved as well. And these three go in to battle it out at WrestleMania, triple threat style for that Intercontinental title. I would say this match would end with Seth Rollins stealing a victory. You know, I imagine like maybe Roman Reigns gets Dean Ambrose down for the count, but Seth Rollins runs in and low blows and hits Roman Reigns with the briefcase and grabs the pin. Something like that. Something dastardly. Seth Rollins getting the dirty victory, walking out with that Intercontinental title.
That doesn't make Roman look strong.
If he's going down for the pinfall, his head's in position to get a curb stomp.
Yeah, it's actually a good idea.
Yeah, I always thought that'd be really cool too. I'm glad I'm not the only one to think about it.
I also want to make note that I would do this match again in about 2-3 years as a world title match.
Yes, that has to happen.
Mm-hmm.
Assuming the match is good. I mean, shit, I'd be shocked if they had bad chemistry, but you never know.
Well, we know Ambrose and Rollins have amazing chemistry. Rollins and Reigns match they had together wasn't too bad. We just have to see how Ambrose and Reigns work together.
You pretty much just go, hey, Seth, Dean, wrestle this match and let Roman do some special moves now and again.
He's like, can I punch you guys?
Come on, guys, I got the Superman.
All right, so we're gonna do this big spot. You're gonna go over the top rope. Then this is gonna happen. This is gonna happen. All right, Roman, what you got? I'm gonna punch you.
I'm gonna give you the international.
Can he jump over the ropes onto the outside?
He did it on Raw.
I thought Reigns could do it.
Roman needs to do a diving spot. Just because it looked cool as shit at me.
Everyone else does a fucking diving spot. No more people doing diving spots. Jesus Christ.
I think if he does want to be a bit more interesting than say like Kevin Owens doing one.
Does Kevin Owens do one?
Oh, Kevin Owens did Kevin Owens. Debut match. He did like a huge fucking sunset flip over the top rope.
Oh, the flip. No,
I think he landed on his feet almost.
I think he did a tope.
No, I just meant a swanton flip over the top ropes onto like a pile of people. I know. I've seen Reigns do it. I think he should do it more, mainly because that'll get all the Smark fans like, oh my god, this is wrestling.
I was gonna say, it's sad that Kevin Owens has got a higher jump over the top rope than anyone else in the company.
Really? Is it that?
Check out that. It was a fucking huge leap.
I don't think that's fair. You got Kofi and Tyson Kidd.
Cares about
Adrian
Kofi.
Neville.
So, what follows your Intercontinental title match?
We go to the U.S. title match. It's pretty much going to be the same thing. Rusev versus John Cena, only I would go with the idea that I had postulated before, a submission match. I think this is the perfect way to have this match go. And I would have this end with Rusev making John Cena tap.
Question.
I know. What?
Would have you done Fastlane John Cena versus Rusev?
I wouldn't have done Fastlane. I'm with you. I wouldn't have done a fucking pay-per-view there.
Okay.
Mm-hmm. I think you can do something there, but I wouldn't have had that match there. Absolutely not. Like, I would have had a pay-per-view. I'm okay with having a February pay-per-view. I would rather not, but I certainly wouldn't have done the match. And if I did, for some reason, if that match did have to happen, have it end in a schmaz.
We want schmaz. We want schmaz.
But yeah, Rusev gets the victory on this. Make him look like an absolute beast. Have John Cena disappear for a few months. I'm sure the guy could totally use the time off to rest and enjoy some of his life on his own while he's still young. Let Rusev look like the biggest heel monster of this year. Let him just continue running roughshod over people. Cena can always come back and get his victory back later on in the year, like Survivor Series or something like that, after Rusev has lost to someone else, I guess. But for now, it's you got to make Rusev look good. That you've invested a year into this guy. It's best for business.
I think this is the second time that you've had a fantasy booking where John Cena goes away for a while. I think it might have been Mania that he did it last year. Yeah, it was. It was like, all right, so and then Cena goes away.
Who did I have beat him?
I don't remember who you had beat. Oh, it was Brock.
Probably Fandango or something.
I don't remember what it was for. You wanted Brock Lesnar.
Oh, maybe it was Undertaker. I think it was Undertaker. That's what I was calling for last year, was Cena Taker.
There was a match with Brock Lesnar and John Cena. I could have swore that he was going to have just Cena fuck off for a while.
I probably said that it's what he should have did after SummerSlam.
Cena, fuck off.
I should also mention that I would have, of course, Lana would be in Rusev's corner, but I would have John Cena get the backing of Zeb Coulter. I think that would be a fun little thing going into WrestleMania, have Zeb Coulter represent John Cena as a real American.
The only way I'd be okay with that is John Cena grew the same mustache.
Sure, why not?
Better.
Yeah.
Does Cena even grow facial hair?
That's a good question.
Yeah.
Actually, I've never
totally
seen
being
him
one of
with a
those
lick of
guys.
stubble.
That's weird. Yeah, I really want to see John Cena grow some Zeb Coulter facial hair. Fuck.
So, there's always a thing with WrestleMania where you want to get as many people on the card, and I have a lot of people left over. And I can't help noticing that a lot of these people are people of a rather large statute. So what I decided to do is bring all these big people together into a match. And I decided I'd throw like a clever name on it, maybe like a big man buffet.
Yes.
So I would take all the big men
Finally.
and put them into a battle royal. And you could put in Big Show, Kane, Eric Rowan, Luke Harper, Bray Wyatt, Mark Henry, The Ascension, Big for Nothing, Titus O'Neil, Sheamus, who I would have had returned by now. He'll be involved with that. Get Rikishi in there. He's going into the Hall of Fame. Have him make a big appearance.
Is Orton on your card later?
You want to let me fucking finish? What
Listen,
the fuck?
I am fine with this if you have both Dallas on this match.
Can you let me fucking finish? Let me fucking finish? All right, I'm finished.
So no Bo Dallas? No, you gotta have Bo Dallas so they can do the quick elimination.
I'm actually not finished, okay? Rikishi can be in there. If you want to have like some other nostalgia people, I would recommend it. Get like a Vader if he's feeling healthy enough. Rhino, I know you have him around. Ryback, of course, has to be in it. And one person who I think would go into it would be Curtis Axel. He's talking about how he still hasn't been eliminated from Royal Rumble. He sees a battle royal. He's like, yes, this is my opportunity. And he doesn't care that he's like a small guy. He's going to act like he's a big heavyweight going into it. Very much like the, like Hardcore Holly and Crash Holly used to pretend they were heavyweights. You'd move into something like that. Guy I would go over would be Ryback. I would have Ryback get the big victory here.
The big victory.
Big victory.
Guy.
Just imagine like the freaking promo he could cut before going out there. The big guys going into the big man buffet. It's going to be an all-you-can-eat buffet. And it's feeding time.
Big guy's hungry.
Big guy out. So yeah, big WrestleMania moment for Ryback, since he hasn't really gotten to have one of those yet. I think it'd be good for him.
Hey, he had Mark Henry fall on him. Almost said Rikishi.
Next match, someone everyone's always worried about where they're going to be at WrestleMania is Daniel Bryan. I think Daniel Bryan deserves a quality opponent. I know Wago believes that, right? You want Daniel Bryan to have a quality opponent, a quality spot in the card, right?
See, I'm fine even if he's not in the main event. I just want him to have a legitimate one-on-one match with some substance.
Okay. Well, Daniel Bryan sees all this going on. He didn't make it into the WWE title match. He didn't make it into the U.S. title match again. He didn't make a match with John Cena. He didn't get a match with all these people.
He didn't get in the big guy buffet.
And he realizes that there's only one thing left that he can do to get himself a spot at WrestleMania. And he calls out The Undertaker. So that sets that up. I mean, there's really nothing more to it than that. Daniel Bryan wants a spot. Undertaker sees him as a young kid looking for a shot and decides to give him a chance. And you set this up. I think Daniel Bryan can actually carry Undertaker to one of the best match he's probably had in years at WrestleMania. In the end, I would have the Undertaker win. I think Undertaker's got to keep that going. I think Daniel Bryan will still look very strong. He'll look very good throughout this match. I just think the right man to win is still the Undertaker. Get the Undertaker on a victory again. Set himself up for Undertaker versus Sting next year or in 2 years, whenever they feel like they want to go down that road, when they feel like it's the right time. Because I still believe the Undertaker's got a number of years left on him. I think people highly underestimate how good a shape the Undertaker's still in. If he only does one match a year, I think he can go another 5, 6, 7 years if he wants to. Same for Sting. I mean, Sting's an older guy, but if he wants to do like 1 or 2 matches a year, he can keep going for a few years too.
Think I figured out your main event.
Okay. Well, I have a Divas title match. It's a Fatal 4 with Nikki Bella, Brie Bella, Paige, and AJ Lee. Basically the same 4 Divas, only instead of a pointless tag match, it's going to be a Fatal 4-way for the title. If I was redoing some booking, I never would have had Nikki and Brie reunite. I would have kept their hatred going a little while and had them rotate between Paige and whoever other diva they want to have them with. And then AJ Lee returns and gets herself involved in the mix, and you set themselves for this Fatal 4-way. And the victor I would have would be Paige after a strong victory, probably knocking the Bellas out of the way and having it come down to Paige and AJ Lee. And then I would set up for Paige versus Charlotte on the following night's Raw, which I think would be an absolutely kick-ass match. # give Divas a chance. There you go with that. And my main event is Brock Lesnar defending the WWE title one-on-one against Randy Orton. Is that what you thought I was going with?
Yes, because I noticed you cut me off with the Orton comment earlier. I'm like, okay, that's what he's doing.
All right. Well, I would have Randy Orton win the Royal Rumble, do the cliche, return out of nowhere, get your victory on your return Royal Rumble. I know it's played and it's kind of lame, but people like Randy Orton. I think if they had capitalized better with the whole RKO out of nowhere meme that was getting really big, I think they could have gone somewhere with that. But I would have turned Randy Orton heel somehow, and I would have ran further with building Brock Lesnar as a babyface, because I think people are really ready for that. Before he goes, they really should have given Brock Lesnar some babyface time. Not saying he's going. We don't know what the deal with that is yet, but either way, I would like to see Brock Lesnar as a babyface, and I think from the December to this WrestleMania, they could have done that, and that's what I would have done. So you go into this match, Brock Lesnar as the babyface, Randy Orton as the challenging heel, and I would have probably not a very good match between these two, because I don't know what they would really be capable. It'd probably keep it short. Have Brock Lesnar get a dominating pinfall victory at the end of it, remain champion. But out of the crowd comes 4 talents to absolutely beat the shit out of Brock Lesnar. Sami Zayn, Hideo Itami, Adrian Neville, and Finn Balor just beat the living shit out of Brock Lesnar. Very reminiscent to the Nexus beatdown that we saw on John Cena and CM Punk. Just take every single thing around the ring and beat the shit out of Brock Lesnar with it.
Choke him with a tie.
Stroll on down comes Seth Rollins with his Money in the Bank briefcase, cashes it in, becomes champion, held up high in the arms of the 4 NXT talents as we fade to black with all this intrigue going into the Raw after Mania. That's an NXT takeover.
So what do you guys think about this card?
I have a big issue with the main event.
Okay.
I'm fine with Randy Orton versus Brock Lesnar, and I think they can have a perfectly good match given the right roles. Brock Lesnar versus Orton needs to be heel Lesnar versus face Orton. That's because we all know as soon as Randy Orton plays heel, rest hold, rest hold, rest hold. Okay.
We just did that in the last part.
So, as far I'm fine with that match, and I understand that I'm a big supporter that Brock should turn face, because there's nothing more fun than being able to support just a pure fucking massive ass kicking power. But I'd really worry about the match quality, and at Mania, match quality is very important in the main event. That's my only real issue with it. See, I'm worried. The only other thing I'd worry about is, can Sami Zayn be a decent heel?
Well, that doesn't have to worry that much about being it, because he's going to be in this group, especially with Seth Rollins as the mouthpiece, and builds a good case for Sami Zayn to be the one that eventually turns out of it and fights against them, a la Daniel Bryan. Remember, Daniel Bryan came in as a heel, as part of a group.
See, my problem with this is you said that they should have capitalized when the Vine thing was going really big. If it would have become too big, you would have had to throw him into the big man buffet.
Touche.
Drew, what do you think about Peyton's card?
I like it. I'm not a big fan of the how the show ends necessarily, but I like the card nonetheless.
But you like Seth Rollins.
Oh, I love Seth. I'm not a big fan of like a remake of the Nexus beatdown per se, and also I think
which was just a remake of the NWO.
and yeah,
history repeats itself.
Yeah, I know. The only issue I have with it is that it's the 4 guys that you have doing it. I feel like Brock would be able to like bend them with his fucking fingers. That's the only issue I'd have with it.
Not after he's just gone for a match with one of the world's elite pro wrestlers.
What are you talking about? It was rest hold.
Not from a fucking kayfabe standpoint.
I know. I don't know. I don't know. I'm just not a big fan of it. If you were to do it with like, I don't know, Bull Dempsey and some other people, I think it's just a bad way of...
I did consider putting Baron Corbin into the mix somewhere.
Yeah.
Like throw another match on the pre-show, like a 5-second Baron Corbin match just to introduce him to.
So I understand what you're doing. You're establishing them in the earlier moments and then you're bringing them back in later.
Yeah, that's what
the
only
only
other
other issue. Again, the only other issue that I have would be I am one of those guys that want Mania to always end on a positive note. I like the story that the good guy overcame on the biggest stage of them all. The only time that I've ever been a fan of it, the other way round, was the Austin and The Rock match. Then again, that might have been the only other time that's really happened. I can't think of too many scenarios where the bad guy is leading
Triple
the
H.
top.
Yeah, Triple H at WrestleMania 2000.
Technically,
here's the
Triple H
thing,
with Randy Orton, because everybody wanted Orton to win.
Oh,
Yeah,
yeah.
But
The WrestleMania 2000 ended on a good note, though. Because whilst Triple H won the title, The Rock kicked the shit out of him and Stephanie. Like, I just like the fans being able to cheer with the babyface at the end of the night. That's what worries about me with Roman Reigns as Brock Lesnar, because I think Roman Reigns can get booed out the building.
How about WrestleMania 23? That just ended like awkwardly, where like Shawn Michaels was like, "Fuck you, John Cena," like stormed out.
And he's just kind of like, Met, still got the title though. See you guys tonight.
I can't blame him. Did you not catch the segment in the corner where he was bad-mouthing Cena legitimately? Tell him to sell the fucking leg, you fucking idiot. Yeah, he was not happy with John Cena not selling, so that's why he was pissy.
That wasn't Sean. That was actually just Piper was in the audience, and they picked him up on the mic. Just fuck. Drew, what's your card?
well,
Oh yeah.
Well, let me go ahead and tell you a story about pre-show, at least. I'm going to start the pre-show off, of course, with everyone's favorite match of all time. And that will be Tony's favorite, the Andre the Giant Memorial Battle Royal. Yep, that's right. I think if you're going to have a pre-show and what WWE is doing this year with having everyone on the card, apparently, because that's what they want to do, that's fine. But if you're going to do something like the Battle Royal, I like it to be on the pre-show because it makes sense. Nothing important is going to come out of it based on what happened last year. I mean, Cesaro did get Paul Heyman, but that didn't work out for anything, and his year has been shit up until his tag title reign that he has now. So, I'd have some of the names like, I don't know, Sheamus, Bray Wyatt, Big Show, Kane, just names like that in. Sheamus ends up winning, not much to it. I thought about putting a couple NXT guys in there, but I just kind of went against it. But anyways, the next match on the card will be Divas Showcase match, because along the same line of Peyton with the Give Divas a Chance, I thought, why not do the Bella Twins? It's an 8-man tag match, but 4-on-4. It'd be the Bellas. There would be the Bellas, Paige, and AJ versus Sasha Banks, Charlotte, Bayley. And instead of throwing crazy hair redhead girl that I can't think of off the top of my head because she doesn't mean much to me, I'd put in NXT, Tony. Come on.
Oh, you're talking about the NXT side, Becky Lynch?
Yeah, Becky Lynch. There we go. I put in a diva that I actually like, or a woman that I actually like, and that'd be Alexa Bliss. And essentially, it'd just be a 4-on-4 match between those two. It'd last around 15 minutes ish. And I'll give the main roster the win mainly because it's the main roster. They're supposed to be better than developmental, but it'll come off of a shaky win. You know, that one time when they roll back and forth over the ref, and the ref gets up like, "Woman just rolled over me." They get pissed off. Yeah, and then Paige gets a roll up win. That's what's gonna happen. So, anyways, on to the main card. First match. It'll be a ladder match for the WWE Tag Team Championships. However, there will be 5 teams involved in this match. It'll be your champions, Tyson Kidd and Cesaro, versus the Usos, versus Miz and Mizdow, versus a team that I, after WrestleMania or the Royal Rumble, with Curtis Axel doing the Axelmania stuff, instead of him coming up with it on his own, a returning Bo Dallas gives him a pep talk telling him that, listen, he still wins, he still won, he just got to believe. So they start a tag team together, as well as Axelmania. So anyways, and then the final team, it'll be a reunion of the Shield, with Roman Reigns and Dean Ambrose coming in, saying they want the tag team titles, so they're going to add themselves into the mix, if you know what I'm saying. So anyways, the Shield with Roman Reigns and Dean Ambrose will end up winning the match, and by that alone, Roman Reigns and Dean Ambrose will start a year-long tag team title reign, because I don't think either of them is ready for the main event scene. Roman Reigns, I mean, I'm fine with him being in the main event of Mania this year. I understand why people don't want him to be, so yeah. But with Dean Ambrose, he's kind of fucked right now, so I think giving him a tag title would be fine. I think everything would play out, just those two, just, you know. Actually, no. Actually, what I just completely thought I was going to do with the Shield. The Shield reunite after the Rumble when Kane and Big Show, you know, do their thing in the Rumble, screwing everyone out and they throw out Roman Reigns and Dean Ambrose. They started a mini feud with that, and they reunite via that. Anyways, the next match on the card will be the match that was supposed to happen on WrestleMania 31, but isn't happening on WrestleMania 31 because they fucked it up because of Fastlane. Stardust versus Goldust. And essentially, it's not going to be a retirement match because it will continue after the WrestleMania, which I know Tony's a big fan of. WrestleMania is supposed to be the big show of the year. It should end at WrestleMania. That's where future. And I know Waco says this sometimes. However, I think they started this feud up too late. And I'm not really changing too much when it comes to the landscape of everything that's happening. I'm not going a year back for a lot of this stuff. So, yeah, it's just going to be Stardust versus Goldust, and Goldust picking up the win over Cody Rhodes or Stardust. They could just do the same thing that they were planning on doing with Stardust. Like, I am not Cody Rhodes, guys. Come on. Stop it. So, yeah. And it will continue into Extreme Rules where they have a 2 out of 3 falls match. Actually, no, it will be an Extreme Rules match. The next match on the card will be a triple threat match for the Intercontinental Championships. The big guy, Ryback, will be the champion at the time. He wins it off of Bad News Barrett at a few months back with, say, TLC. Bad News Barrett will also be in the match. However, the third man in the match will be a Dolph Ziggler, who Dolph Ziggler originally had the title, but he gets injured. Bad News Barrett gets the title, and now he wants his title shot back, so they're making a triple threat match between the three, with Dolph Ziggler picking up the win. The next match will be a 2 out of 3 falls match with Rusev versus John Cena. And what I will do is essentially it'll be Rusev squashes John Cena. He wins in the first 2 falls. So there is that. The next match, and they could just do the same thing that they're doing right now with it. However, I won't do the Fastlane match. I just a 2 out of Wago mentions that he didn't want Fastlane, which I get that. They don't need a February pay-per-view, especially now that they're not doing the Elimination Chamber stuff. However, I think of having a Fastlane or a February pay-per-view, it makes
Drew,
sense.
if you say however one more time, I'm breaking out the bell. That's your warning.
Oh, wait, did you guys actually catch on to that finally? Shoot. Oh, well. No more howevers for you guys. However, the next match on the card, it'll be Triple H and Randy Orton, and essentially what happens is Randy Orton leaves the Authority. Randy Orton gets curb stomped. Randy Orton comes back at Fastlane and has a match against Seth Rollins. However, he is screwed over by Triple H. Oh yeah, I should really try to stop that. I think I caught myself actually doing that now, Tony. However. Anyways. Thank you.
That was like so weak.
So, anyway, so if anyone's like, I want you Triple H, so they have a match, or anyone picks up the win, and yep, that's about it for that. The next match will be the retirement match between The Undertaker and The Stinger, and I will give The Undertaker the win. Not much to it. I think it's the obvious match that Happy Days. So yeah, after that it'll be Daniel Bryan's match. Except who is it going to be against? It'd be none other than The Rock. And the way I would bring The Rock back is a few months prior, he sees Daniel Bryan. Daniel Bryan talks about how he wants to be the face of WWE. Rock comes out, says how when he was the face of WWE, he looked like the face. People wanted to see him. However, you are not. He gives him a rock bottom, turning him heel. And that's what it's going to be. It's going to be like a Hollywood The Rock versus Daniel Bryan. Daniel Bryan picks up the win. And yeah, so the main event will be a WWE Championship match between Brock Lesnar and Seth Rollins. And yeah, I think this is one of the matches that I wish they did that they never got to. We got that triple threat between him, Rollins, and Cena, but we never got. But essentially, the build-up is going to be Brock Lesnar gets fed up with the Authority trying to allow Seth Rollins to cash in, so he goes, fuck it. He starts kicking all their asses, turns face in the process. Seth Rollins does win the Royal Rumble, and he still is the Money in the Bank briefcase holder, winner. Brock Lesnar, and then they do have an intense match. Brock Lesnar wins the first match. However, the Authority comes in, starts kicking Brock Lesnar's ass, and then Brock Lesnar is left defenseless. He cashes in the briefcase, except he kicks out. Brock Lesnar beats Seth Rollins a second time, and now Brock Lesnar returns to WWE. He's going to be there up until SummerSlam, baby, and he's the champion.
Thoughts on that card?
You fantasy booked his contract negotiation.
And it's super cheap.
As far the undercard, I'm kind of flip-flopping on, but I'll tell you what I really did like, which I never even thought of. The Hollywood Rock versus Daniel Bryan would be fun as fuck. Mm-hmm. Like, you've got The Rock doing his whole pie eating, jabroni beating, blah, 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 blah. And fans can chant, no, no, no. There's a lot of because what I hated about when The Rock came back was because of the realism of John Cena and his feud, like they generally didn't like each other, they threw their characters out the window. And I didn't get to see The Rock. I got to see Dwayne Johnson. That's what pissed me off about that feud. But The Rock character and Daniel Bryan could work so well, and I really like that. As far as the main event goes, that's probably the best way to turn Brock Lesnar face if you're going to do it. Not overcomplicated, and provides the number one face and the number one heel in the company.
Peyton, what do you think about his card?
Yeah, I pretty much like Wago. The undercard was kind of meh to me. Maybe it's just a difference of generation where we wanted to go with our directions. But I am also with Wago. One thing that really did make my ears kind of peak up is when you said Daniel Bryan versus Rock. Like, the moment you said that, I was like, wow, I never put those two names together. That's fantastic. So props for that one.
Making him heel.
Mm-hmm. I've actually said before that I would love to see like a Hollywood Rock, but
the only issue I'd have with The Rock being heel, not personally me, but I think WWE would have, or The Rock would have, is I think that he would think it would affect his, like, I don't know, like his reputation or something like that.
Here's the thing.
Yeah, something like that.
The Rock, all he has to do is come back on the next episode of Raw. All right, I underestimated him. Everyone give a round of applause to Daniel Bryan. Here's my catchphrase.
Do the handshake at the end of the match or something like that.
Yeah, all he has to do is shake his hand and then play sing-along with The Rock next episode, and everyone will love him.
Although, something to take into account, one of The Rock's next big movies, he's going to be the villain in. The Shazam film. So, he's going to go evil for that one. Although Black Adam's not, like, the most evil fucking person in the world, so, you know. It's not like he's playing the Joker or something.
Playing the Sham Wow guy. He sucks.
Yeah. That's basically going to be a better movie than that. Alrighty, so we're on to my card. I said before I'm gonna speed through mine a lot more than what it is on the website.
Go,
so,
go.
Yeah. All right, this is fresh, and this one, and then this one, and this one. One production note that I have is fuck the video packages, because if you have 4 different TV shows a week that you can do this for months ahead of time, by the time that you get to Royal Rumble, WrestleMania, the big shows and stuff that people would watch if they didn't necessarily watch the TV shows, well, you know what? Give them a reason to watch the TV shows. And if they can't keep up with this simple storylines that go in WWE, and they really, really wish that they had seen, an 8-minute video package, fuck you, go watch the clip on YouTube. So, I'm throwing 2 matches into the pre-show because they've got more than enough time that they could have 2 matches and still do some, pre-show bullshit that they usually do. I'm going to start off with an NXT Championship Scramble match, because I think the Scramble match is really underrated and they need to bring that back. Kevin Owens defends against Sami Zayn, Adrian Neville, and Finn Balor. Essentially, this is a way to showcase all those guys. You could have it really fast-paced, but at the same time, you can keep it into a tight time frame, because it does have a time limit. So you get a lot accomplished. All guys can look good in here. Kevin Owens ends up winning because he's the champion, and I'd like to see the title take different directions when it comes to TakeOver and NXT itself instead of on WrestleMania. I think it'd get buried in the mix if it wasn't to do that. So no title change, but a fun match to start everything off. Then you have The Miz versus Damian Sandow, and the only reason I have this on the pre-show is because I didn't think any of the other ones really fit in there. So sucks for them, but this is sort of a throwaway match. You really make it to where the better match between the two of them is at Extreme Rules. Sandow wins. That's one of the reasons why they have that match at Extreme Rules, because Miz gets all pissed off about it. Standard kind of operating procedure there. First hour, we've got the kickoff of the actual show itself is Daniel Bryan versus Sheamus. As much as I'm not a big fan of watching these guys face off again, because I don't think that Sheamus is that great, and I don't really remember their feud being as awesome as some other people do. Maybe that's just selective memory, I don't know. I do think that Sheamus needs to return as a heel, and if he's going to return as a heel, the best way to make him do that heel turn, attack Daniel Bryan. You know he'll get booed for that. So you've got a built-in storyline with the past WrestleMania experience between these two. At the very beginning of the show, tease it. Make the fans get worried that maybe Sheamus is going to just beat the crap out of Daniel Bryan in record time again. But he doesn't, because you can't do that. Can't be that stupid. You build these two up, a couple matches. Bryan can move on to somebody else in the future. Sheamus can move on to title shots or whatever. I'm not booking past this too much. That takes us into a multi-man tag match to throw some people into the card. And this is something that they did at Fastlane to an extent, but I wouldn't have Fastlane. So you don't need to worry about that. You have Team Authority, which is Seth Rollins, Big Show, Kane, Bad News Barrett, and Luke Harper against the Rebels of the Authority. Randy Orton, Dolph Ziggler, Dean Ambrose, Ryback, and Eric Rowan. It's basically the same as what you did at Survivor Series, but I would have switched Survivor Series up a little bit. And downside to it is the Intercontinental Champion is somewhere in the mix here. Maybe it's Bad News Barrett, maybe it's Dean Ambrose, I don't know. That doesn't get defended, but you got to crack some eggs. No individual entrances. Got to save some time here. Hour 2, you've got Backlot Brawl retirement match. Dustin Rhodes versus Cody Rhodes. They both come out, Stardust and Goldust. They beat the hell out of each other to the point where their face paint wears off and they are just staring at each other as the actual brothers. Cody wins, though. And by the end of this match, he has given up the Stardust persona. He is back to being a babyface. Dustin retires, and a little spoiler for what would come afterward, Cody Rhodes gets a huge push because I think that this guy is incredibly underrated. His next feud is going to be Bray Wyatt, but I'm not booking that far ahead. Next match after that, Tag Team Championship Battle Royal. I am not having the Andre the Giant Memorial Battle Royal, but I'm getting this instead. And you change the rules a little bit here. Something that always used to bother me about Tag Team Battle Royals, I don't like that idea that if your tag partner gets eliminated, your whole team is. I know it makes sense, but it just bugs me a little bit for some reason, so done with that. Nah. And we're actually going to play that up, because the end of this is going to be 2 heels as part of a tag team against 1 guy for
Hang on,
some
I'm
other team.
only okay with this is if we have Howard Finkel come out and actually announce, nah, we're done with that. Nah.
Okay, we can do that. Fuck, have Howard Finkel do all of the announcing. The hell with Lillian. The tag teams,
right.
the tag teams that make this up, Howard Finkel wouldn't say the Big Show's 4 feet tall. We've got the Usos, Tyson Kidd and Cesaro, Primetime Players, Ascension, Los Matadores, The New Day, Lucha Dragons, J&J Security, because why not? Curtis Axel and Heath Slater are a tag team, and the Real Americans. And now, obviously, that doesn't include Cesaro. That is bringing up one person from NXT, and that's Sawyer Fulton. I don't think that he's particularly amazing. I don't really know what his mic work is. Don't really care. He is somebody that could be Jack Swagger's partner to a T. They've got the amateur wrestling look going on. He looks like that kind of big hoss kind of guy. I think that would be a great spot for him. So you throw all these tag teams in together. Doesn't really matter who wins. But the winner is going to be a babyface that's left on his own to face the 2 members of a tag team. And that's how you get your little surprise. That leads us into no disqualification match. The baseball bat versus the sledgehammer, essentially. Sting versus Triple H. They want to do it. I'll give it to them. Go ahead. Sting wins because, it's Sting. And more importantly, he wins because he needs to have some kind of a reason to go, I want to take the next step up. And if Triple H is saying that he's going to try to kill WCW, well, Sting isn't going to try to kill WWE. He's there to fight what the heart of WWE is. See what he's been missing out on. And it's not Triple H, it's The Undertaker. That's the night after WrestleMania where that challenge is set. Next year, WrestleMania 32, you've got your Sting versus Undertaker match, which is not the final match for at least Undertaker. I'd be good if it was the last match for Sting. But we got to do Cena Taker at some point. Our 8th match on the card, if you count the 2 pre-show ones, United States Championship, Rusev versus John Cena. They don't have a match at Fastlane because that doesn't exist. Rusev wins. As much as I had been saying before that John Cena should beat Rusev, a couple weeks ago, Peyton sold me on the idea that it would make a lot more sense for Rusev to win, and he completely won me over on that. Rusev beats John Cena clean. No interference, no cheating, no bullshit referee gets bumped. The most you can do in this is have Rusev beat the crap out of Cena ahead of time and he goes in with a little bit of an injury. But this has to be Rusev looking like a fucking beast. Have a rematch at Extreme Rules, do some kind of a shitty ending with that one, I don't care. But Rusev beats John Cena at the biggest WrestleMania stage that he possibly can. People are fucking furious. Hulk Hogan's out there. He's, shit. Because there goes the whole American kind of motif. Huge downside for John Cena. Give him an actual reason to be pissed off. Because losing at Fastlane, I don't care. Losing at WrestleMania, now that is a reason for you to go nuts and act like the John Cena that we've been trying to see for the past couple weeks. Final hour of the night. 3 matches are going to be on there, which seems like quite a bit for a 60-minute slot, but there's a little bit of leeway time. It starts ahead of time, whatever. And they're short matches, too, because I don't want long matches to screw up what the potential is for some of these. You've got Undertaker versus Bray Wyatt. Again, they want to do it. I don't think it's necessarily a bad idea, but you got to limit these guys. And the longer this goes, more it hurts Undertaker's legacy, more it hurts him where he's going to have more recovery time for next year. That's your actual match you want to build for Sting and Undertaker. Bray Wyatt, I like the idea that he's resurrecting The Undertaker from this loss. Go with that one. Undertaker clearly wins. Our little bathroom break, give Divas a chance kind of thing. Divas Championship Lumberjill match. Nikki Bella versus Brie Bella. I don't get why they're not feuding yet. And you want to throw as many Divas in there as possible? Lumberjill match. They're all surrounding the ring. This is kind of the good and the bad. Total Divas just go nuts, blah, blah, blah. Give them a couple minutes to show off their talent. You know, they're not bad. But don't give them, a 25-minute match. They're going to be terrible. It just always happens that way. Finally, you're in your main event. Brock Lesnar versus Roman Reigns, World Heavyweight Championship. Give them as much time as they can do, not anything more. Because the more that this drags on, if Brock Lesnar or Roman Reigns, or both, are winded or anything like that, Roman Reigns is going to look like shit. And you need to make him look super strong coming out of this. Do what Wago says. I'm a part of the crowd that thinks that WrestleMania should end with the babyface being cheered, new title change, all that other kind of stuff. Hopefully they've set it up ahead of time where they can make sure that fans actually chant for that instead of just booing them. But then again, I would have changed the Royal Rumble around a little bit too. So essentially, this is not too different from what we're getting at WrestleMania this year, but a couple little tweaks here and there that I think that they could have done a couple months ago. Would have saved them a lot of trouble, I think. What do you guys think? What's the low point, high point, or whatever?
I'm not very big on the tag team battle royal.
Yeah,
There's a lot of filler guys at that, and I'm just not feeling it.
Hi, you suck.
No, it's not that.
That's good.
Nothing strikes out as bad, but nothing just strikes out as wow.
It could be worse. You could have this year's card at WrestleMania.
And I should have said this when I was doing mine. I'm not too happy with my card, and I think a lot of that is the playing field. I don't think we're being given very good clay to mold these cards out of.
Ooh, that's some deep words, philosophy right there.
Mm-hmm.
Some Brodus clay?
Some turkey tits.
Turkey
Damn it, you
tits.
took the words out of my mouth.
Yeah, I mean, there's some issues that happened this year that I was trying to keep in mind. Daniel Bryan's injury really kind of fucked up quite a bit. Roman Reigns' injury fucked up a little bit. A big problem is the Brock Lesnar thing, I think. If I were to go back all the way to last WrestleMania, there's way too many things that I would have changed. So I was like, you know what? To save myself the time, I'm not going to be like, all right, these are the 8 people that Brock Lesnar would have fought at these pay-per-views, and but
Right.
I figured I'd keep it to like Royal Rumble time.
Yeah, I think your card would piss the most Smarks out of everyone. You have Daniel Bryan in the opening match against Sheamus. That would piss so many people.
Yeah, I forgot about that. Yeah, what the fuck, dude? Daniel Bryan and Sheamus, you would actually do that?
Given the current circumstances from the past 2-3 months,
I am assuming you're making Sheamus a heel at the very least.
Yeah, that was the whole point of it. He attacks Daniel Bryan because he's got to be a heel.
He was talking really fast. I got lost at one point.
Yeah, the whole thing is basically to solidify Sheamus as a heel. And I don't even really like Sheamus, but you know what? He's at a point right now where if he doesn't come back as a heel, I am fucking done. I won't even give him a chance.
Mm-hmm. I'm with you on that.
Mm-hmm. Alrighty, so those are the cards that we would do. Some different circumstances, obviously some wide variety, which is awesome. Leave your comments below. Tell us what you guys would do. You don't need to break it down necessarily as much as we did. If you want to just throw a couple of suggestions out there of this is the match I'd rather have be the opening, or man, you got to have at least this match on the card, which I'm assuming is Big Man Buffet. Then, leave your comments below. Tell us which cards of ours that you guys like the best. What was the best match that one of us pitched? What was the worst match? Whatever like that. I got a feeling a lot of people will be going for that Rock and Bryan match because that seemed kind of cool. Leave your comments below. And we have one more thing to do on this episode. Fantasy League. Stay tuned. Click on the next video, everybody. We will be right back.